All right, so it's the book of Colossians. Salakia. Shalom, shalom. Most High willing, everybody is feeling well in the spirit. Ashar Shabbat, Shabbat, shalom. Most High willing, everybody's continue to endure, doing everything they can to continue to endure in these last days, right? Praying, fasting, doing all that they can to remain in the spirit as the days wax worse and worse, right? So let me kick it off with the opening precept. It's the book of Colossians, chapter 3 and verse 17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Yahweh Shai, giving thanks to the Most High and the Father by him. Right, so everything we do in word or deed, we do it all in the name of the Lord Yahweh Shai, giving thanks to the Most High God Yahweh. That's why we say, call Allah Yahweh by Hashem Mashiach Wamalak Yahweh Shai. That's all honor and glory to the Most High God through his Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Right, and this is the book of Ephesians, chapter 4 and verse 11. And he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Yahweh Shai. Right, everything we do is for the perfecting of the saints, the work of the ministry, and the edifying of the body of Yahweh Shai, right, which is the Israelites spread across the four corners of the earth, chiefly on the western side of the hemisphere, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? And that's why we go out and prophesy week in and week out while we do these classes day in and day out, right, whether it be on YouTube, Clubhouse, whatever it may be, right, that Israel may be perfected and beautified because we're commanded to be perfect, right? So today's Shabbat class is entitled Stand on Nation Business. Right, stand on nation business, right? And I did a class like this for the body maybe about a year or two ago, and we revisited it because ultimately this whole book, the Bible that we love, that we study, is predicated upon that. That's what the Lord wants us to get out of it. We have become very individualized as Israelites, and we're going to get into some things, documents, things of that nature, showing of how it happened, on a carnal aspect, although we know the curses of what did it, but how the Lord utilized the so-called white man to apply these curses on us to make us more individualized, where we only tend to care more about ourselves and our households. We don't really care about the next brother or the next sister, when the Lord is ultimately, all he's trying to get us to do is love one another the right way, right? That's what this whole thing is about, right? And I'm going to kick it off with the opening precept. I'm going into that. Right? It's the book of Matthew. In fact, I'm gonna go to Mark. I like it better than Mark. Let's go to the book of Mark. All right, it's the book of Mark, chapter 12 and verse 28. And one of the scribes came, having heard them reasoning together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first commandment of all? And Yahweh Shai answered, the first of all commandments is, hear, O Israel. So this is to us, right? Yasha Allah. Hear, O Israel. Yahweh our power is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul, with all thy mind and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these. And you can't love your neighbor. You can't love the Lord without loving your neighbor. So 1 and 2, they go together, right? So the whole thing, there's nothing greater than this. Everything on this book, in this book, is predicated upon us learning how to love the Most High God. And you learn how to love the Most High God through how you love your people. So we have to understand everything is about the nation. It's not about yourself. It's not about just your family. It's about the nation. And a lot of times we get caught up worrying only about ourselves. We don't care about our brothers, our sisters. We don't care about their families. We don't care about these type of things. And because we don't care about these things, we fight continuously with each other, right? Some brothers are worried about how they look. Some brothers are worried about a name. Some sisters are worried about having a husband. Some sisters are worried about whose husband is whose. It's all kind of madness going on. And none of it is predicated upon building a righteous nation that loves one another and loves the Most High God. So let's get another classic precept to go along with that, proving that you can't love the Lord, thy God, with all thy heart, all thy soul, without loving your brother, without loving your nation, right? It's the book of 1 John, chapter 4 and verse 19. We love him because he first loved us. If a man say, I love the Most High, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he have seen, how can he love the Most High, whom he have not seen? So you can't have the first commandment if you have not achieved the second commandment. So you get this, you get to the first commandment by achieving the second commandment. So you can't love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul if you don't love your people. And everything in this book is teaching us how to love one another, teaching us how to handle one another. That's nation business, right? It's not only going out and waving a hand and saying, I'm bringing Israel back to the fold, and you hate your brother in your heart. You got a grudge. You can't let it go. You hate your sister in your heart, right? You know, it's not sister putting on a hair wrap, going to the feast days, saying Shalom, Ak, but yet you hate your sister in your heart, man, right? You continuously talking and yapping, right? You're a busybody, right? These things are not about nation business. That's why the Lord tells us who to stay away from. And it's those who what? Cause divisions among you. Goes against nation business. If you go against nation business, the Lord says stay away from them. Mark them, stay away from them. Because the Lord is all for us building a nation. We have laws predicated on the nation, right? Let's go to the book of Leviticus. Right? It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 11. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. You see how that's one to another, right? That law is predicated on what? Us having righteousness between each other as a nation, not even to deal falsely with each other. You're not supposed to defraud each other. You're not even supposed to lie to each other, man. Right? That shows you how important it is for us to actually deal with each other the right way. This is nation business. Learning how not to lie to one another. Learning how not to steal from one another. Right? Reading on, verse 12. And you shall not swear by my name falsely, neither shalt thou profane the name of the Lord thy power. I am the Most High. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all night until the morning. The Lord make it even clear. Not even just, you can't defraud your people, but if you hire your brother to do some work, you're supposed to pay him that day. It's how we know Esau is not about nobody but himself. Esau don't want to hold your wages. Hey, Esau hold you in the hole. He tell you, hey, you bi-weekly, but you won't get your first check for 3 weeks. Kind of hold your wages for 3 weeks, man. Right? Defrauding. Then you don't pay your whole wages when you get it. Right? That's not nation business. And we ought not to deal with each other that way. Right? But this is just really going into the fact that the Lord has given us laws, right? That's about nation business, how to handle each other with righteousness, with wisdom. Right? Verse 14. Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but thou shalt fear Yahweh thy power. You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the persons of the poor, nor honor the persons of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Even in judgment. Judgment is supposed to be done in righteousness. Everything we do, predicated upon the wisdom of the Most High, is literally for us to handle each other with the love of the Lord, in righteousness, in wisdom. That's the nation business. And we have to stand on this. Even when we're in our flesh, even when we feel weak, even when we are in any moment, we have to always stand on the nation business, because that's how you show the Lord you love him. You got it, King.
Nah, go ahead, keep cooking, King. Or bring that out, what you was about to bring out.
You on mute, Doc.
Can you hear me now?
Or you're not on mute, but you're really low. I can't hear you at all.
Hold on. What about now?
You may gotta pop out and pop back in. All right. While the brother pops out and pops back in, let me get another precept, right? It's the book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 8. It says, owe no man anything but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. Right? So owe no man nothing but to love one another. You don't owe any man anything, right? But to Okay. All right. Well, maybe it's my computer. Brother saying they can hear you. Maybe I just can't hear you. Go ahead.
Nice. Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you, but they said they can hear you in the chat. I'm gonna leave and come back.
All right. Well, yeah, Khan, Salakia, y'all, for the delays. I was trying to tell the brother to keep cooking. He had like some footage that he wanted to bring out, a book that he wanted to get into and things of that nature. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Just a second, everybody.
It looked like somebody really.
Well, while that brother doing that, I'll get
No, I hear you now.
Okay, Khan.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you seen what I put?
Yeah, he said bring up the clip.
Yeah.
All right, Con. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. Yeah. First, what's going on? Streaming or tripping? It's not letting me present. Hold on. It's not letting me present at all. You can't see the screen, huh?
Nah, I can't.
All right. Just bring out a preset. Let me see what's going on. Salakia.
Okay, Khan. So, when the brother was initially going into as far as like, the precepts that we have, showing that how we should deal with one another, you know what I'm saying, as a nation, because this is all about nation business. It shouldn't be for any other particular reason. A lot of people got different motives as into why they do the work. Like the brother said, it could be, you know, because they're trying to find a significant other. You know what I'm saying? It could be because, they want a name and some type of fame. You know what I'm saying? It could be because, they grew up and, they seen the pastor, heaping so much upon him, you know what I'm saying, monetary gain, that it's like, if I had that same type of wisdom, potentially I can do the same thing. But no, it's supposed to be for your nation. When we think about our forefathers and foremothers, that's what it was supposed to be about. And all these people that had anything else in their back pocket that they was thinking about to try to, propel them and to some type of stature or whatnot, it got brought to naught. Like I'll grab a few examples on that real quick. A few precepts I'm sure y'all know of already. So I'm gonna start up here with the brother jumped out. Start off here with First Maccabees chapter 7, right? And this is dealing with Alcimus, right? He was one of our people that had the desire to be a high priest, and for that reason, it overthrew his actual judgment. Right. Let's get into it. So First Maccabees 7:4, it says, "So his hosts slew them. Now when Demetrius was set upon the throne of his kingdom, there came unto him all the wicked and ungodly men of Israel, having Alcimus, who was desirous to be high priest, for their captain. And they accused the people to the king, saying, Judas and his brethren have slain all thy friends and driven us out of our own land. Now therefore send some man whom thou trustest, and let him go and see what havoc he hath made among us and in the king's land, and let him punish them with all them that aid him." Now, obviously, like it said in verse 5, like all the wicked and ungodly men of Israel came and was there with Alcimus. And Alcimus, with this, this motive, he wants to be the high priest, and cleave to these nations. He's speaking illy of his brethren, which if we go earlier, First Maccabees 2, right, to where you got their father Mattathias speaking unto his sons, trying to show them what men that they ought to be and how they ought to move, right? And what does it say? I'm go to First Maccabees 2:50. It says, "Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time, so shall ye receive great honor and an everlasting name." That's how you would get great honor and an everlasting name, by being obedient to the Most High God. Not that that's what it's all about. It's all about they was doing all this work and fought all these wars for their nation, to put their nation back in existence, back on top, get their sanctuary back, get the Lord back on our sides and all this, because obviously it happened because of our disobedience. But these men are some men that stood so stiffly for the Lord, right, and for their nation, and then all that other stuff came with it, right? Let me jump down real quick. First Maccabees 2:62, it says, "Fear not then the words of a sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms." So they already know it. They father already taught them. When people like Alcimus or all these other wicked Israelites that cleave to these nations pop up, you know what I'm saying? Don't even worry about it. Don't bar that situation, right? Because they gonna end up coming to naught. So I read it again. "Fear not then the words of a sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms. Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found, because he is returned into his dust, and his thought is come to nothing." Right? It says, "Wherefore, ye my sons, be valiant, and shew yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it ye shall obtain glory." That's how you obtain glory. But people want to extol themselves and exalt themselves to the clouds for a name, right? It's got to be for the right reasons. Because, we even have it with our foremother Judith. You know what I'm saying? With Judith, she could have easily, she did everything for nation business, right? Not necessarily to try to exalt herself, even though that came with it. And the nation was like highly appreciative of her sacrifices and bringing the Lord back on their sides in their time of captivity. Like, nonetheless, she did that for her nation, right? Let me grab that real quick. Go to Judith. Where is it? 14. Let me see. I'm gonna start at verse 9. Oh, dang, the brother left out again. It says, "And when she had left off speaking, the people shouted with a loud voice and made a joyful noise in their city. And when Achior had seen all that the God of Israel had done, he believed in God greatly, and circumcised the flesh of his foreskin, and was joined unto the house of Israel unto this day. Hold on. I think I wanted to go earlier. Let me see. Salaki. Nah, it was I wanted to start at verse 5. I started too late. So verse 5, it says, "But before ye do these things, call me Achior the Ammonite, that he may see and know him that despised the house of Israel, and that sent him to us as it was for his depth." Right? So this man, Halophanes, or however you pronounce his name, he wanted to take us out, the whole nation. This is the whole reason why she stepped up and did what she did. You know what I'm saying? And called out to the Most High God first. You know what I'm saying? For direction, not just taking it up on herself and trying to, get a name for herself. This is all for nation building, right? But it says, verse 6, then they called Achior out of the house of Ozias, and when he was come and saw the head of Halophanes in a man's hand in the assembly of the people, he fell down on his face, and his spirit fell. But when they had recovered him, he fell at Judah's feet and reverenced her, and said, Blessed art thou in all the tabernacle of Judah, and in all nations, which hearing thy name shall be astonished. Right? But they're the utmost grateful to this woman for doing these things. Not that this is for a name, right? Because if we go earlier on, and I think it's like Judith 8, and then I'm gonna pass it to the brother. You got everything straight? Con. All right, Judith 8, and let me see. I want to say it's verse 9. It says, Now when she heard the evil words of the people against the governor, that they fainted for lack of water, for Judith had heard all the words that Ozias had spoken unto them, and that he sworn to deliver the city unto the Assyrians after 5 days. Then she sent her waiting women that had the government of all things that she had to call Ozias and Chabris and Charmis, the ancients of the city. And they came unto her, and she said unto him, Hear me now, O ye governors of the inhabitants of Bethulia, for your words that ye have spoken before the people this day are not right, touching this oath which ye have made and pronounced between God and you, and have promised to deliver the city to our enemies, unless within these days the Lord turn to help you. And now who are you? Who are ye, Salakia, that ye have tempted God this day and stand instead of God among the children of men? And now try the Lord Almighty, but ye shall never know anything. So she basically like rebuked these men, like you trying to put the Most High God into your parameters, into your constraint. You know what I'm saying? To try and you know uh deliver our nation, but you can't do that. Like you can't it's a little bit more on there. Hold on. Verse 14 says, For ye cannot find the depth of the heart of man, neither can ye perceive the things that he thinketh. Then how can ye search out God that have made all things and know his mind or comprehend his purpose? Nay, my brethren, provoke not the Lord our God to anger. So she telling them like you can't put God in these parameters. And then she sought out God, right? Also, fasted before she made any move and did all this solely for a nation, not for any type of name. Because we know with the classic and the first Maccabees 5 that they just simply those men went out on their own and just simply went out just because they wanted a name. They didn't seek out God. They didn't follow orders. They didn't do anything. But in this case, our forefather did it the right way, right? But you got it, King.
Con, Salakia for the technical difficulties, man. All praise to the Most High, though, right? So, like I said, we talking about nation business through the Spirit of the Lord, right? And we talking about, how a lot of our people in the truth and out of the truth, they have an individualistic mindset. They don't have the mindset built upon doing what it takes to build up a righteous nation under the umbrella of the Most High God, which is what the Israelites are. Our name is Yasha Allah, Prince of the Power. We are the children of the Most High God, meaning that we're supposed to raise each other up to be righteous children of the Lord, And we have to know that the disconnect has happened and it's still here. It's here with the people that are in the truth and here with the people that are out of the truth. Now, we all know, the curse, but I'm going to bring it out anyway. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother and towards his wife of his bosom and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Verse 56, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward her husband of her bosom and toward her son and toward her daughter. Right? So we see that the curses are here. And the Lord is saying, hey, the men, they're going to be against the men. The women, they're going to be against the men. Right? The women will be against the women, so on and so forth. Right? Now, where did this come from? What method did the Lord use? Now, our people already had this in them. We can go back to the book of Exodus, right? Let's get that real quick. We already had this in us, but the Lord only intensified it, right? Through the curses. And he used the hand of the so-called white man to intensify it, right? But we already had this issue. We already had jealousy. We already had envy. We already had the wanting to be against each other instead of wanting to be for each other, right? This is the book of Exodus, chapter 2 and verse 11. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown that he went out unto his brethren and looked upon their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. And he looked this way and that way. And when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. So, Moses, he was already for his people. He didn't think about the fact that, I'm known as Pharaoh's grandson. If it's get known that I killed an Egyptian for a Hebrew, that I'll be put out, exiled, maybe even put to death. He didn't care. He cared about the fact that his brethren was going through something and he handled it, right? That's nation business, right? Now, let's see how our people are, though. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, wherefore smitest thou thy fellow? And he said, who made thee a prince and judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me as thou killedest the Egyptian? And Moses feared and said, surely this thing is known. Now think about that. Was that man about his nation? No, he was already striving with his brother, and he was in the wrong. He putting his hand on his brother. He in the wrong, and he's being corrected. And instead of him taking the correction, his answer is, nigga, you ain't my boss. That's what he pretty much said. Nigga, you ain't my boss. This is the same spirit that goes on in Israel. We go to correct a brother, whether he says it openly or he keeps it in his mindset is, nigga, you ain't my boss. His mindset ain't, you know what? Hey, that's the son of the Most High God, and he's helping me to understand that I need to do better for the nation of the Lord. I need to be better as a child of the Lord. Instead, it's, nigga, you ain't my boss. Because all you're thinking about is your pride. All you're thinking about is how you feel. All you're thinking about is about yourself. You're not thinking about the nation. You're not thinking about how you doing better can contribute to the nation being back on top, man. You're not thinking about that. All you're thinking about is your damn self. That's that individualism. And you hate your brothers in your heart, right? Because if you didn't, you would actually consider, man. You would have more manners, more consideration, right? So I'm gonna pull this up, right? Let's go into it. All right, so this is a PDF of the Willie Lynch letter, How to Make a Slave, right? So we're going to read this one right here. The breaking process of the African woman. Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any sign of resistance in submitting completely to your will, this is talking about to the so-called white man's will. And do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract that last bit of B word out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. When in complete submission, she will train her offspring in early years to submit to labor when become of age. Understanding in the best thing, therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of subject matter concerning what we have produced her in the breaking process of the female N-word nigger. We have reversed the relationship in her natural uncivilized state. She would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have limited protective tendency toward her independent male offspring and would raise the male offspring to be dependent like her. Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reverse nature by burning and pulling a civilized nigger apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her physiological dependent state to a frozen independent state. In this frozen physiological state of independence, she will raise her male and her female offspring in reversed roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will physiologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Because she has become physiologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be physiologically independent. What have you got? You've got a nigger woman out front and the nigger man behind and scared. This is the perfect situation of a sound sleep and economic. Before the breaking process, we have to be alert, on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly, for out of the frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her early slave molding. That's plain, man. Ain't that what we deal with? Right? That's plain. This is the reason why our women will have more respect to a so-called white man before they'll have respect to you. This is why our women raise our children the way they raise them. Why they raise our daughters, be an independent woman. You don't need no black man, right? No respect for the black man. This is why this is happening. But understand, our job is to recondition our mind. Sisters that's watching this class, a lot of them will say, well, I'm not like that. No, you are. It's naturally in your mind. This is what they're talking about. It was passed down from the days they broke the first slave woman all the way to this day. And our job is to break it with this right here. Consistently praying, fasting, reading the scriptures, submitting to the words and the ways of the Most High God. Understand that you were raised in a place where you were taught to have no respect for a so-called black man. That's why they broke him in front of you, to make you feel unprotected by him. Go ahead, King.
No, just adding to what you're saying, that's why we still have that terminology today, an alpha female. Right? Go ahead, King.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Alpha female, right? Independent woman, so on and so forth, man. Right? But you'll hear a woman say she's an independent woman, but then marry a so-called white man. And then marry a so-called white man and take care of him. Think about that. Now, a lot of sisters will say, well, I would never do that. No, you may not go that far. But think about why you buck up against your husband so much. And you buck up against your husband more than you would buck up against your manager, man. Right? You fear the protection of your manager and the job and the security that you have with him more than you fear the protection that you get from your husband. And it's all passed down. Right? And we're supposed to let these scriptures change that. So let's get a precept. What the Lord write? This is when you on nation business. Because this is what they said. This is economics for them. So it was building their nation to break you. That's what it is. So to reverse the roles, to go back to the way the Lord has created it, is literally to build our nation the right way. Right? He said, what it say? We couldn't sleep at night, man, the way it was, man. Hey, the so-called black man to come in here and run down on us with his wife. But we have to break them both. Now we can sleep peacefully because she's not going to let her husband do it. That's what it said. And he's going to follow behind her. Hey, we see it at camp. Jay, you got him on for the word? Yeah. No, we don't. Nah, you know how I go, man. I got to go. It is. Right?
That's another thing that come up out of it. Like I said, the alpha female, but then that happy wife, happy life, you know what I'm saying? Directly from that context, you know what I'm saying? They make the man, what did it say? They made the woman like more independent than the man. What? I forgot what it said.
I go to it. right? It says, let me read up. It says, we have reversed the relationship in natural, uncivilized state. She would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective tendency toward her independent male offspring and will raise male offspring to be dependent like her. Nature had provided for this type of balance. We have reversed nature by burning and pulling the civilized nigger man apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, with a male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from a physiological dependent state to a frozen independent state. In this frozen physiological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in these roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will physiologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Man, that's crazy, bro. Mentally weak, mentally weak and dependent. That's what our men are, and still come in this truth and still the same way, man. That's why you can't take correction. That's why you can't take reproof. You mentally weak. The moment somebody's correcting you, you go into damn, you know what I'm saying, protection mode. You can't just take it like a man, right? So let's get this real quick. So how is the role supposed to be? What does it look like when we're building a nation? What should our women be fighting to be like if they're standing on nation business, right? This is the book, classic, Ephesians, right? Chapter 5 and verse 21. Submitting yourselves one to another for the fear of the Most High. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Hamashiach is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is in subjection unto Hamashiach, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Right? So if you stand on nation business, when that spirit gets on you, that independent spirit, that spirit of not respecting your husband as the head, and you're supposed to consort back to these scriptures if you're about nation business. You're supposed to consort back to these words right here if you stand on nation business. Right? That this book is teaching us how to build a righteous nation, a strong, righteous nation. Right? And the Lord has used the so-called white man. He used his tool, right? He used the so-called white man to tear us down so that we can work to be put back together, so that we're worthy of being called by his name, so then he can bring us back to that high stature that we're supposed to be in. But it comes through us showing forth that we're worthy of it by standing on nation business continually, right? Let's get another clip, right? Let's get another clip, because we read Deuteronomy 28:54, you know, talking about how the evil eye towards each other, man. Let's get this.
Back during slavery, when black people like me talked to the slaves, they didn't kill him. They'd send some old house Negro along behind him to undo what he said. You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation. The house Negro could afford to do that because he lived better than the field Negro. He ate better, he dressed better, and he lived in a better house. He lived right up next to his master in the attic or the basement. He ate the same food his master ate and wore his same clothes. And he could talk just like his master, good diction. And he loved his master more than his master loved himself. That's why he didn't want his master hurt. If the master got sick, he'd say, "What's the matter, boss? We sick?" When the master's house caught a fire, he'd try and put the fire out. He didn't want his master's house burned. He never wanted his master's property threatened. And he was more defensive of it than the master was. That was the house Negro. But then you had some field Negroes who lived in huts. had nothing to lose. They wore the worst kind of clothes, they ate the worst food, and they caught hell. They felt the sting of the lash. They hated their master. Oh, yes, they did. If the master got sick, they prayed that the master died. If the master's house caught a fire, they prayed for a strong wind to come along. This was the difference between the two. And today you still have house Negroes and field Negroes.
And it's the same dichotomy. The reason why they created this dichotomy is literally not only to protect themselves, but to bring a strong hate towards one another, right? One is treated way better than the other. That will always be in protection of this place, Babylon. Then you have the brothers and the sisters who are not in that protection of the so-called white man and other nations, and they pray for this place to fall. And you still have this dichotomy in the truth. You have people who are making gain off of this truth. And so they may come out here and talk and act like they want, no, they actually want to be here. And now you have a dichotomy where you see Israelites against Israelites, because you see the spirit of one camp versus the spirit against another camp. And you can clearly see the contradiction between one of them. One of them is not purely about the nation and the business of the Lord. Then the other one, right, is more about the nation's business and the Lord. One is about making money, about making gain, about being seen, about making a name for themselves, about heaping men unto themselves. And then you have other congregations where, hey, all they care about is the nation and bringing the nation back to his rightful rulership. Now let's listen to a house nigga who would call himself a field nigga, but he's a house nigga, right?
No more. We gotta let that go, kid. Them people. It's 2025. We can't blame white folks no more. We gotta let that go, kid. Them people. That wasn't even these people. That was some people before them. So at the end of the day, everybody showed us they can do it from scratch. So we can't be waiting on nobody to give us nothing. Everybody just gotta do it, no matter where you come from. You gotta do it from scratch. I ain't had shit and look at me now. So if I could have did it, you could have did it now. We gotta stop making excuses. Stop waiting on motherfuckers.
Not I did it and I'm gonna bring my nation back. Not I did it and I'm gonna do what I can for my people. Not I did it and I'm gonna reach back down and I'm gonna come grab my brothers back up. Not any of that. None of that. I did it, so you can do it. Stop talking about the so-called white man. That is a house nigga. You know what I'm saying? That is a house nigga. He's not about nation business, right? Because what are you supposed to do? Right? Let's go to the law. Right? Let's go to the law. Let me just remember this precept. Bear with me. Nope, that's not what I want. Bear with me. There you go. Leviticus. I don't know how I forgot that precept. I pull all the time. Leviticus 25 in verse 35, right? It says, and if thy brother be waxing poor and fall in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yea, thou shalt, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee. Take thou no usury of him or increase, but fear thy power that thy brother may live with thee. Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury, nor lend him thy victuals for increase. I am Yahweh thy power, which brought forth out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan to be your power. Right? So the Lord make it very clear. Hey, if you have it and your brother is in need, your job is to take care of your brother, man. And not try to hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to loan you this. Hey, but I'm giving you 10, but you got to give me back 15. No, you give him 10, and he pay you back 10 when he got it. You know what I'm saying? So we don't see that. When a man is on nation business, hey, he's going to do for his nation to the best of his ability. He's not only going to be taken from his nation, he's going to be serving his nation. He's going to be giving his nation, right? You got it, King.
To add on what you just said, McGrath, 1 John 3:17. But whoso hath this world's good, and seeth his brother have need, and shutteth up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of God in him? Right? It says, my little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth, right? So, I mean, what Slim Thug said, as well as, what's her name? Candace Owens, she used to rub me the wrong way a lot because there are a lot of these, house Negroes that it's like pick yourself up by the bootstraps. Like the brother said, I did it, you could do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't blame these people or whatever. But I mean, if God has made these people this way, like it wasn't just one generation of people. This is their whole lineage, right? Like let me grab this Ecclesiastes 7 and 13. It says, consider the work of God, for who can make that straight which he made crooked? Like that's their whole generation. Like that's just the whole lineage of Esau, these other nations, these heathen nations, ultimately. You know what I'm saying? So it's like for somebody to say that, like, oh, these are not the same people, that was many generations ago. Why y'all still hung up on that? Because it matters. This happens time and time again. And if we actually knew our history, our heritage, we wouldn't make dumbass statements like that. Salakia for my language, right? But then to also, build on, the video with Malcolm X, you know what I'm saying, as far as the house Negro and the field Negro. This is what it should look like if you were a so-called house Negro, right? Let's go back to one of our foremothers. This is the editions of Esther, chapter 14. It says, Queen Esther also, being in fear of death, resorted unto the Lord, and laid away her glorious apparel, and put on the garments of anguish and mourning. And instead of precious ointments, she covered her head with ashes and dung, and she humbled her body greatly, and all the places of her joy she filled with her torn hair. Obviously, this is, during the time of the fast that she proclaimed for the 3 days, right? Keep going. It says, verse 3, and she prayed unto the Lord God of Israel, saying, O my Lord, thou only art our king. Help me, desolate woman, which have no helper but thee. For my danger is in mine hand. From my youth up I have heard in the tribe of my family that thou, O Lord, tookest Israel from among all people and tookest from among all people and our fathers from all their predecessors for a perpetual inheritance, and thou hast performed whatsoever thou didst promise them. And now we have sinned. I'm the one in dire straits, and I need your help solely. Looking at it at the individual standpoint, because ultimately she was in the house. She was you know draped in the finest of apparel. She could have whatever she wanted. You know what I'm saying? But her heart and her desire went out to her nation, right? She cared about her nation. She could have easily just been like Malcolm X said, oh yeah, master, we sick, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? But this is not how she was moving. Keep going. Verse 6. And now we have sinned before thee, therefore thou hast given us into the hands of our enemies, because we worship their gods, O Lord, thou art righteous. Let me jump down to verse 15. It says, Thou knowest all things, O Lord, thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous and abhor the bed of the uncircumcised and of all heathen. Like, she wasn't obviously your typical house Negro. She wasn't a house Negro nonetheless. She had to play the part, do what she had to do for her nation. You know what I'm saying? So her nation can be rebuilt and or salvaged, however you want to look at it, because they wanted to destroy it. They wanted to wipe out all Israel. She did this for her nation, right? Verse 16, thou knowest my necessity, for I abhor the sign of my high estate. She hated that. She didn't care that she's wearing the same thing master wearing. You know what I'm saying? That she eating the same thing master eat. Matter of fact, it said that she didn't even eat none of the stuff that was offered. I'm gonna keep going. Thou knowest my necessity, for I abhor the sign of my high estate, which is upon mine head in the days wherein I shew myself, and that I abhor it as a minstrel's rag, and that I wear it not when I am private by myself, and that thine handmaid hath not eaten at Amon's table, and that I have not greatly esteemed the king's feast, nor drunk the wine of the drink offerings. Neither had thine handmaid any joy since the day that I brought hither to this present, but in thee, O Lord God of Abraham. But in those times, in slavery times, you had people that ever since that they made it into master's house, oh glorious day. You know what I'm saying? She said, since I got in there, I couldn't stand it. I can't deal with this. I can't tolerate this. And that's how it should be, right? But you got it, King.
I'm gonna get a couple. I'm gonna get one on what you just brought out real quick, and then I wanna pull up another video real quick. Get a precept on which is about Esther. Let me pull one. Let me get a precept on Esther. All right. This is Esther chapter, I think it's 7. I want. Right. So Esther chapter 7 and verse 3. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Right? She said, we are sold. I and my people. Hey, she a king, she a queen. She wasn't sold. She was in protection, right? But at the end of the day, it wasn't about her. It was literally about her nation. Her mindset wasn't sitting on, well, shit, I made it. Shit, I'm in here. I'm good. If I can make it, y'all can make it too. No. Her mindset was set on her people, man. And Mordecai, he raised her that way. It's the whole purpose of what we're talking about, nation business. Our spirit have to be aligned with the spirit of the Most High God. We have to raise our children in the role reversal of how America has raised us. Remember, we read the Willie Lynch letter, and it said what? It said it's a role reversal they put on us, right? A role reversal that made us this way. So the Lord gave us the script of how to come back to who we are. We have to submit and follow it. And we have to teach our children these things, right? This is Esther chapter 4 and verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. Plain. He told her straight up. He raised her to understand these things, right? Don't think that in that king's house you're going to escape more than the Jews, right? These people, a lot of people, they think they're going to kind of escape. No, you're not going to escape, man. You're not going to escape. So you have to worry about your nation. Right? The Lord say, hey, in that time, everybody's gonna flee into their own land. Right? So we have to build up our nation in righteousness. We have to build each other up in righteousness. And we do that through the script the Lord gave us, these scriptures, man. There's no other way. So even when we're in our flesh, even when we're afflicted, even when we're weak, even when we're mad, jealous, upset, we have to always remember it's not about you. It's about your nation. And when it's about your nation, it is about you, because ultimately you can't receive salvation if you're only about you. You can't get your salvation if you don't love your brother. You can't get salvation if you don't love your sister. Right? Let me get this precept. Going back to what we're talking about. More nation business. Caring more about the nation, right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 4, and verse 4. And it says, well, I'm gonna start at 1. My son, defraud not the poor of his living, and make not the needy eyes wait long. Make not a hungry soul sorrowful, neither provoke a man in his distress. Think about what Slim Thug just did. Man, it's 2025, man. We can't be putting it on no white folk. Them ain't even the same people it was. Oh, you got all these people out here going through hell. You provoking people into distress, man. Don't know how they're gonna pay rent. Don't know how they're gonna feed their kids. There's people that can't get diapers. Hey, we go out and do community outreaches. We got kids out there that ain't got toothbrushes, man. Toothbrushes, man. And you talking about it's 2025, and them same people that can't get toothbrushes are getting moved out of their projects so they can build a freeway, man. Expand a freeway. Who's doing that? Who's expanding the freeway? Who put them in the projects? But you see, and about nation business. And the thing is, someone say, well, he's not in the truth. No, but that spirit is still carrying along. That spirit of only worrying about yourself and not worrying about your people and not being about nation business. It don't have to be about finances. How you treat your brothers and sisters shows if you carry that spirit. How you act when you're reproved shows if you carry that spirit. Right? Murmuring, sowing discord, that shows that same spirit. That spirit don't always, one spirit don't always look the same way. It just does the same thing. It don't have to look the same way when it attacks. It has the same job to do. A lie is a lie, but it ain't always the same story. Right? Verse 4. Reject not the supplication of the afflicted, neither turn away thy face from a poor man. Turn not away thine eye from the needy, and give him none occasion to curse thee. For if he curse thee in the bitterness of his soul, his prayer shall be heard of him that made him. That's plain, man. Right? Now we understand the Lord has a balance. He tells you not to help everybody. Right? Sirach 12 gives you the wisdom on who you should help of your people and who you shouldn't. We understand that. But we talking about nation business. We talking about understanding those that we should be helping, those that we should be showing this love to, those that we should be giving these things to, man. Right? Let me pull this up. Right? So this man, them ain't even the same people, man. Boy, nigga, it's a damn shame. And they tried to buy the same way they bought out that man. They bought out Jesse Jackson and all kind of other people. They tried to buy out a lot of people. They tried to buy out Malcolm. Malcolm wasn't going for it, right? So they killed him, right? See if Malcolm said the same thing, right? Or was he about his nation? Now we understand Malcolm may not have been in the truth. But what I'm showing you about Malcolm was about nation business. His mindset was always about the nation, always. So if we have that same mindset and we have the truth that shows us how to be about our nation, see, he didn't know how to be about his nation. He went about it carnally. He didn't understand it was a spiritual warfare, right? We understand it's spiritual warfare. So we got to take on that same passion about our nation, but fight it spiritually. Go ahead.
Malcolm, how do you yourself feel about the white man?
I believe that the white man has done a great injustice to the black man in this country by having kidnapped our people and brought us here and down to the level that we're on today. And today, instead of approaching the factors that their original mistake has created, instead of approaching these factors objectively and realistically, the greatest sin that they're doing now is trying to pretend that they never committed a crime, that they never did any wrong. And when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad points out the injustices that our people are suffering, they make that sin worse by accusing him of teaching hate, or by accusing him of black supremacy, or by accusing him of advocating violence, simply because he is pointing out the real factors in the problem.
Right. You see? Hey, he straight to a so-called white man face. Telling you. This is the injustice.
President Anderson,
It's lucky.
Members of the faculty.
We all understand those same things. And we understand that we see it at camp. They try to act as if they didn't do it. You know, try to hide the fact that they did it. Right? But we know that they did it. But we can't fight it carnally. Right? We fight it spiritually. Right? Let me get this in the NLT real quick. Read this in the NLT. Shalakia. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, right, in verse 27. Is that what I want? No, it's not what I want. Shalakia. Bear with me. Shalakia. Where is it at? Hey, you can bring some now. I got to find this priest. It's going to bother me.
Okay. So, I mean, pursuing to what a piece of what Malcolm said in that clip, you know, as far as, you know, how they move and, you know, I guess deceitfully, this is who they've always been, right? I'm gonna grab this precept in First Maccabees, right? And then we know who this is. It's been broke down several times. We know Alexander the so-called Great is, you know, a dang Macedonian, a Grecian or whatnot, right? We know that, you know, who people that they come from, that they derive from. So let me grab this First Maccabees 1 and I'm gonna start at 20, then I'm gonna jump down. It says, and after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude and entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof and the table of the showbread and the pouring vessels and the vials. Like, I can keep going, but he basically took everything, right? Let's fast forward. Verse 29, it says, and after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit, right? Because that's how they move as a nation of people, right? They try to snatch all our history about the history books because our people already don't read the Bible. If they just knew that this was our history and that these things actually happened, that'd be one thing. But they already, you know, snatching our history away. They're rewriting the stories, right? They're deceitful in every which way, right? But I'm gonna finish that. It says, verse 30, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore and destroyed much people of Israel. Right. But go ahead, King. Grab your precept. You find it?
I got one I want to read though.
Kind.
I'm gonna find it though. All right, so this is Psalm chapter 73 in verse 3, right? In the NLT, right? Because Malcolm was talking about, hey, they do a great injustice by hiding it. I'm bringing this out because the scriptures tell us exactly what Malcolm said, and we understand everything that they have done to us and how it's all been played into our mind. Literally, even when you read Maccabees, the things they were trying to do to the 7 Hebrew children, the things they tried to do to Eleazar, it was all to manipulate the minds of the people to do what they wanted them to do to weaken us as a nation. And our leaders at that time stood on business, on nation business. Eleazar could have literally act like he was eating pork and ate beef and made all the people in Israel believe that he ate pork, and they would have started eating pork as well, right? And he would have been living good. But he cared more about his nation, and he didn't do that, right? He didn't do it. He stood on business, which led the Hebrew boys to stand on business. The 7 Hebrew boys, right? So we understand. right? But we have to know that it's trickery. They try to make it seem as if they're not doing these things to manipulate our minds, to make us to go against the ways of the Most High, right? Having our women dressed the way they dress provocatively all throughout TV, all throughout commercials, all throughout all these various different things to make our women accept whoredom, man. Having our men be effeminate, right? Gangbangers, thugs, YNs, right? All that is literally against the nation. That's tearing the nation down. And it's all part of the trickery. Then he act like he doesn't do it. Right? This is the book of Psalms chapter 73 and verse 3. For I envied the proud when I saw them prosper despite their wickedness. They seem to live such painless lives. Their bodies are so healthy and strong. They don't have troubles like other people. They are not plagued with problems like everyone else, so-called white men. They wear pride like a jeweled necklace and clothe themselves with cruelty. These fat cats have everything their hearts could ever wish for. They scoff and speak only evil. In their pride, they seek to crush others. They boast against the very heavens, and their words strut throughout the earth. And so the people are dismayed and confused, drinking in all their words. You see that? The people are confused, drinking in all their words, man. So we just fall into it. We just fall right into it. We got to understand that these are the right words. This is the words that's going to build our nation up. This is what we use to stand on nation business, right? Let me get another precept. Right? Classic precept as well. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Is it 10 I want? 12. Chapter 12 and verse 24. For our comely parts have no need, but the Most High have tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to the part which lacked, that there should be no schisms in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another. You see that? We are the body. We're supposed to have the same care one for another, man. Knowing what the so-called white man in these nations have done against us. Knowing that everything that we have naturally in our mind was conditioned to be against our nation, we have to defeat these thoughts, these ways, and come back to the ways of the Lord that's for our nation. But you got it, King. I'll let you close it out.
Khan, I just had a comment on something that you said earlier, as far as like, for the people that tap in and see this, feeling like, well, but he's not in the truth. What does that matter? I mean, at the end of the day, he's our people. And like the brother brought out earlier, this will be the curses. This part of the curses that will be cursed for a lack of knowledge, right? He knew he had that passion for his nation. He just didn't know the proper way to go about it within the Bible, right? Because I mean, it says right here in Deuteronomy 28, verse 19, says, "Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thine hand to do, settest thy hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me." Right? So it don't matter what we saying our set our hands to do, it's gonna come to naught. That's what we be talking about when we talk about Deuteronomy 28 and 68. No matter all these movements that done happened or that transpired, it always come to naught, right? Because no matter what we set our hands to do, our movements, they not gonna move unless we moving by way of the Most High God, right? That's why it's so much we suffer these curses, this vexation, and rebuke. You know what I'm saying? Even from our own people. You just seen Slim Thug. You see some of these people that's basically individual lights, you know what I'm saying? But then also were made a laughing stock of all the nations. You know what I'm saying? Just wanting our own people to rise up, just trying to build the nation, right? But that's all I had to say about that. Just wanted to tap on that.
And real quick, just to add on to that, the so-called Jewish man has taken our laws and apply them those laws, that part of the laws, you know, a lot of other shit he's in folly, but the part of the law is about taking care of each other, doing for each other, building up each other, not defrauding each other. They've taken that and created within themselves a space where you'll never find a poor Jewish individual. You just won't. Like it's not there. So imagine where we would be if we took on that same spirit. I'm not even just talking about financially, just in general. That same fervent love for one another, man. Right? And people call us as Hebrew Israelites, the real Israelites, racist. Go try to walk in the synagogue as a so-called black man. They ain't gonna stop you, but see how you treat it. See how you treat it. See if they welcome you with open arms. You know what I'm saying? So think about that, right? They had the so-called black man living in Israel, man. They kind of kicked him out, man. Put him on the outskirts, right? Because they only worried about themselves. They care about their nation, even though it's not their nation is all Esau, but they delusions, right? So with that, most high willing, somebody was edified or will be on the replay. Love y'all until the next time. Most high willing, everybody has a mighty rest of the Shabbat. Kwame Ashala.
Shalom, family.